All right, guys, so it looks like the game has started. G2 against Fnatic, and Cobblestone is the first map that we can look to expect. And it looks like aggression is absolutely what we're going to get straight away. Just jumping straight into the connected position is Fnatic as they start to try to get into the A bomb side as well. Kenny S there is going to be able to jump in on the flank to remove most of the Fnatic opposition. So just Crims in a 1-on-3. And I guess that's my casting done. I'm going to head off. Take it away, guys.
Later, Crims is definitely in a 1v3, and he's going to get shot in the back. As soon as he turns around, Shocks will bring us back to reality. G2 will pick up the pistol here on Cobble. They'll buy up the typical UMPs. I imagine a couple M4s. No, FAMAS. So I like the FAMAS coming back into play. You know, I'm a FAMAS fanboy. Not the burst version. No, I don't respect people who burst it. But I do like the FAMAS as a whole.
FAMAS burst should be buffed in a response to the UMP. That's
First two bullet accuracy.
Yep, something crazy. It's going to be pistols and armor for Fnatic this time round. Lackluster utility as they've already thrown out one of their flashbangs, and it leaves Dennis with the only other. Crims gets himself into the corner here. Get a little toasty, but he's going to be fine. Coming off of 80 HP. NBK from the coop finds the opening headshot. That's Olaf taken down, and the bomb's still ambiguous as to where it wants to go. Its options are open as G2 just hold the line.
Apex is just going to sit on the edge of that smoke, just wait it out. Good nade damage down onto Flusha. As it looks like he is just going to fall back on the back of that. Down to 49, he'll go. Crims with P250 going to try to challenge someone towards top mid, while JW is the drop kind of man. He'll get spotted as he falls. Shock's going to fall back to safety. Should clean up JW momentarily. You'd think so, but JW shoulder peeking this beautifully. Keeping Shocks on his toes and gets him into a reload situation where Body kind of has to bail him out with a smoke. As Fnatic now will get drop room control of the bomb and starting to transition to B as well. And this can get scary for G2. They're almost out of utility.
They've taken drop control with nothing but some sick movement from Flusha. That was no utility, no flash, just a little jiggle peek, and it forces them on back. So Body's still up close with the ump. He's going to find another headshot. That's Flusha removed here as the execution starts to shine through. Crims with another, but it's NBK to respond back with two of his own, leaving it all just down to Dennis. And Kenny S himself has had enough. That's G2 with the conversion, but Fnatic with a very nice try.
Yeah, we'll see Fnatic. Imagine they're not going to invest much. Crims can go for a flash if he wishes. You can sit around 2,000 and still be pretty content and happy going into the first rifle round. But I think it is just going to be a Glocks galore kind of round where they hold W, try to catch him off guard. So he'll go for a P250 over a flash. He knows best as he's going to lead the charge of P250 and just Glocks across the board for his teammates. G2 looking to do a little bit more farming, a little cultivating with the UMPs. As Apex just going to spot someone, but nothing too out of the norm for G2, especially knowing what they're going up against. Just very content, laid back.
I love that Fnatic take their time with these sorts of rounds, right? So often you'll just see teams throw themselves to death, but not Fnatic. They're going to use this opportunity to just feel out their opponents, see what their standards might be at the time being, and it's Shocks with the opening one. Catches the head of JW. We see the shift from Fnatic towards the A site, bomb included. Kenny S gets aggressive, though. And this is going to put him dangerously close to pistols.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to continue this push out long A. G2 have one player pushed up close mid, two players on site, so they have the numbers here to deal with this. Some with no armor. Fnatic, the aim punch, and just turning into Swiss cheese at this point. Body, find Olaf, find the last with the help of Shocks. G2 will take a clean 3-0. And more importantly, they didn't lose too many players in those conversion 3 rounds. Like, as a T side, you aim to make it expensive. That was Fnatic's goal, but G2 did a good job of stopping the bleeding, keeping a ton of players alive. And now they get a clean op out in Kenny S, which includes utility. Now, if they lost a couple players here, it might not be a clean op with armor, kit, and full utility. It'd be kind of scrappy.
Grenades preemptively into the B bomb site. That's that classic wall, right? And it's included the tree, which I think is super nice. Because sometimes you'll have, oh no, it drops down. All right, just towards the pizza. JW inside of the smoke itself finds Shocks. He decides to get aggressive on through. Dennis with a headshot onto Body, and it's Kenny with a response back through the edge of the cement. NBK with one, but Crims with another. And so it's Apex with a 1v3 on the table. Molotov rains out, tries to force the player away from the bomb itself, and it's there that he finds the first. That's Olaf down, but Flusha drains him from the site. 3-1 the score.
Nice early smokes from Fnatic.
Yeah.
From T-spawn, lined them all up. smoke lane, pizza, site, back site. Then it was just easy runnings in from Fnatic. They kind of kept everyone from G2 back on the behind the smokes. By the time the execution came out, G2 tried to get aggressive and push through the smokes early, but Fnatic were already there waiting for them to come through the smoke. Very cut from Fnatic, very clean as they just get on the site and lock it down. As they'll have a UMP for AKs, meanwhile G2 will get the double op. So they still got Moolah, and Shox is looking to spend some of it.
Double op setup from Shoxy and Kenny, and it already pays off. Shox finds Dennis, and Fnatic left scratching their heads. We can see that they were already set up for some kind of a smoke execute towards the B site. That's generally what you see from here, right? So they've got something going on.
It's going towards A connector? I think that's an A connector smoke.
Let's see where this goes.
That is a 6 smoke. No, that's actually going to land. Okay, front APC. That's an interesting smoke. I don't know if you've seen that one before. I have not.
So that's generally that your little mid A to B fake, right? Made famous by what is now SK. That's the first time I saw it was Zeus's teams, but they don't double it down with anybody at the bottom of mid, right? So they try to go for the 4-man play into the B site, and it's going to get locked down at first. But Flusha and Crims are able to take 2, and suddenly it's a 3v3. Flusha with a headshot and another drops NBK and leaves it on Apex yet once more. Deja vu. As he drops into the drop room, that is where he falls. Fnatic with a fantastic round. I wonder, had they not been in a 4 versus 5, if they would have thrown somebody at the A site as well. But obviously being man down, you've got to commit everyone to B. Regardless, excellent smoke play.
I think that smoke actually pulled a rotation too.
Yep.
I think it was one of the oppers. So it pulled an opper towards connector, which opened up Plat and allowed them to just pinch out of Plat and drop room. Beautiful play from Fnatic. Something to keep your eye on. As G2 will have a P250, some USPs, and a Deagle. Not much to really work with. While Fnatic look to press the envelope a bit more. Well, Olaf will get his Mac 10 rifles out. But Fnatic looking to tie this one up early as G2 are just going to go ahead and take a knee, willing to concede the third round over Fnatic pretty much.
And again, Fnatic are just so content with taking their time. 3 players grouped up towards the B site. They can pull the trigger at a moment's notice and just try and stampede in. The bomb could then shift its way into the A site without G2 being any the wiser. So many options here for Fnatic to play, especially when your opponents are limited like this. Shox takes some damage, dropped to 34, so that's going to be the biggest pistol in play, already weakened. Apex still on 100 health with just that P250.
Shox is going to get boosted, so he's looking through the legs, a statue, waiting for someone from Fnatic to just show face. It's going to be Olaf with the Mac 10. He's going to be sent first, tagged up, so he knows there's a boost going on, and we'll just eliminate it. Shox falls. Olaf's looking for some more as rotations come through from G2. But Olaf's going to be sent first. He'll get all the info required. And even get a second frag for it. Body should get cleaned up momentarily. And as he runs out of bullets, that will be the case. So Fnatic get third, relatively clean, losing Dennis. And now G2 will see if they're going to, they will speak out the op.
I'm going to say 5 rifles here for the T side, right? Makes sense. Cobblestone, one of those maps where you don't necessarily need that op presence. And while it's not the double op setup, it's going to be Kenny S with 1. So the magic sticks in play. 3v3 on the board, and smokes once more from Fnatic.
Same ones, I believe, as well. So another wall. JW, cautious. If he comes through, he'll find Shox as an opener, and immediately falls back. So Fnatic's willing to alleviate and throw those smokes, and then just concede. We got first pick. It's worth those smokes. It's worth map presence. It's worth keeping G2 rotating and kind of in like a deja vu kind of state.
Yeah, they still have 3 players towards the B site, and even Apex's position is going to get undermined by that.
Yeah.
Crims just creeps out from long A, and NBK can't arrive in time to try and hold this back. So Olaf Meister's already on the site, creating space for the bomb, which is en route, and all 3 players from G2 still stuck at B. I'd call this a save.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the immediate call. But JW, I don't think he has any plans of letting them save. NBK's now kind of forced to hold this in fear of JW falling down. So NBK is going to hold this while Body's going to sit. G2 are going to try to save. Fnatic will get a 4th. Now, they desperately want to keep the op going. If they lose the UMP, okay, fair be it, a UMP. But that is armor, kit, nades. They'd love to keep everyone alive. But the op, more specifically on Kenny S, is what they'd like to save. NBK drops. He was the man to keep JW at bay. And Body, don't worry about Flusha. So Body needs to be careful, but he should be able to fall back to Kenny S and stay alive. The question is, how much does Fnatic want to commit to this? JW gets him, and Kenny S stuck in a corner now. He can't move, but he will be living. Fnatic will get a fourth.
Yeah, that op needs to stay in play here. And it will. Could have been a lot more to play off of, right? Would have definitely justified the rebuy with the 3 players having survived, but Fnatic do a good job of mitigating that force buy and instead put G2 in a spot where it's Kenny who has to come up big. The odds are that Fnatic don't let him save twice. They're going to probably pick up the pace and head towards the B site. And while it's just pistols for G2, this could still work their way. All you need to do is post Kenny on an angle, allow for him to get a couple of picks, and these up-close pistols always so dangerous, especially with a frag to soften them out. Looks as though Fnatic, though, already pulling the trigger on pushing out. We do have Body just underneath the lip of the ledge. Going to be removed by Flusha, but NBK with the pistol is able to find at least one. Shox now has the op, and he takes Flusha himself. So a 2 versus 3 is what we're left with, and another through the edge. Crims responding back leaves it just down to Shox.
1v2, Crims just down to 43. Look at that, he catches Crims jumping as Shox has brought it back to a 1v1 now, and he gets caught though as Olaf comes around the corner. Shox, I'm not too sure what he was fishing for there.
Yeah, weird little situation.
Yeah.
You've got an op, you've got the cover of the post. Of course, he's assuming already that the man's flanking from behind a highway, but to just be jumping wildly in the open, that's a missed opportunity in what would have been a glorious upset round. G2 still sitting on 3 as Fnatic find 5, but at least this time there's an op on each side of the spectrum.
Yeah, Kennyas gets his back in play. Flusha holding his tightly as it looks like Dennis, along with Olaf, will apply some pressure towards Plat early. Shox does lie in wait just outside a broken wall while Olaf is going to whip a nade that may bounce back towards Shox. It will miss. And Shox gets himself on the edge of the smoke spot. So Olaf actually heard some shots coming through, preemptive, and Shox will shut down Olaf. Now Fnatic, well, at least, well, there'll be a man down. They don't have much map control to fall back on. I was going to say at least they have some map control, but they actually have a player pushed back extremely far back long A. So it's not even like they have too much control elsewhere to really go back and say, okay, well, at least we have map control somewhere.
JW falls in. Classic opening of the drop down from him. Looking for more here as Shox is spotted on the runway. And a man still boosted high here. Kenny S up close, hits the no-scope though. Crims goes down, and it's G2 with a man advantage.
Yes, he's going to deal more damage. It's low HP. JW will have no problems dispatching of him. Apex thinking about rotating, but he is the lone player in A, kind of like an anchor, but he is going to slowly work in towards connector. Needs to deal with JW first, who's making a hell of a lot of noise, keeping G2 honest towards B, as well as keeping Apex at least entertained. Leaving A is JW finds Body pushing in to deal with him, and JW's got 2 for his troubles. That's a 4K from JW, doing a lovely job down drop. Opens up the maps, forces rotations, as he'll finally go down, but Flusha finds the last, and Fnatic, although they get picked early, they're still just finding the frags and transitioning the rounds into their favor.
I mean, we saw Oscar have one hell of a game earlier on Nuke in that first half, and it's JW this time around. He's already sitting on 12 frags, 4 of which in this one, and he did his job so well. You could see how already Apex wanted to kind of keep an eye on the A site as his teammates were just stuck over towards B, but with JW being a thorn in his side, by him being that distraction for such a long period of time, eventually Body just throws himself at him. So it's a really nice play there from JW, buys so much time for the rest of his team to get onto the bomb site, and at that point, G2 had lost the round, right? Shox could have come up with a 1v3, but he too gets shut down, and so it's just pistols once more for the Frenchman.
We'll see how much they're willing to go in. It looks like the call probably is like 2,000, 2,200. Sit around there and you'll be content in the next round. So it is armor. Kenny S just goes for the deagle and nade, knowing the loss bonus will accumulate to the point where he can get an op next round. 6-3. Fnatic have been looking super sharp. Even when they get picked early, they have a fallback plan. They say, KJW, you go down drop. We're just going to sit, let him do his thing, while JW keeps eyes on him, gets frags towards drop. The rest of his team works towards A. So there's always a contingency for Fnatic, which is kind of like the linchpin right now. And G2 get caught in these rotations, as Fnatic will be looking extremely strong into this round. Just default play, pretty much.
Yeah, they're hoping, of course, that someone walks into the crosshair of Olaf, who decides to chuck a nade out, near take Body out. He's down to just a quarter of health. The Molotov going to force him to peek, and he burns alive on the staircase. Fnatic going to pull the trigger on that one. NBK up close, though, has something to say about it as he shuts down the first man. Dennis now lit to 10 points of health. He, too, could topple, and he's out. Olaf yet to find a response to the op, but he will take another. NBK to do the same, and a 2-on-2 ensues.
Apex with the flank, though. The CZ flank finds Crims, and now Flush is kind of stuck between a rock and a flank. He has to worry about the player back connector / rock, and they are just going to completely fall back, give room for Flusher to sweat in and overthink possibly the situation, as he is going to walk around, find the 1v1, but he can't control it, as Apex gets a second with his CZ, and G2. Never count him out when the Frenchmen have pistols. They surely just went to town.
Nice little pistol nade play there. I mean, we saw how the grenades did a bit of chip damage on Dennis, who was really the position to trade that, right? Olaf Meister was posted up for the peak. It never happened. They throw the 2 riflers up front, and both of them go down. So definitely a turn of events here that nets G2 a nice buy into this next one, right? When you get that freebie on the board, the cash is flowing, and as is there now utility. Olaf again just going to post on the angle. The preemptive nade strike comes up empty-handed. But G2 are fine and content with that. They're just going to sit back and wait.
JW is going to push up towards drop. This has kind of been his home for the last few rounds. He'll get support from a teammate. JW, I imagine, will drop here momentarily, as Dennis will throw a molly for him, shoot the wall, look for JW to fall, or they're just going to both jump down and make noise willingly. So that's the call, as Olaf is going to notice the smoke reblooms towards Platty. He's just going to sit and wait while Shox can do the exact same behind the smoke. Well, they're going to line up a little bit. I think Crim's lined up a smoke of his own. Yeah, he is lining up something. As they are just not only holding for any long A/A aggression, they're also lining up some utility. As Fnatic get 2 down drop, 1 player plat, and Olaf's got the flick. So that may be what prompts Fnatic to go.
Great flick shot from Olaf. Hits the head as well. Style points added to the pool. As Kenny S is going to try to respond back with an op of his own. Terrorists, however, have flashed him effectively, and he tries to fall to the site. He's going to get away for the time being here, as Body hits a shot. Olaf drops, and NBK finds another. This is just like the round before, where NBK takes 3, and Body finds the last. Great hold from G2 after losing only Shox, and that lead from Fnatic is dwindling down.
That's the thing when you go plat, is you commit fully and send players plat and throw players out broken wall to push lane or push site. And if you all do it at once, it's all of you together, you're all committed, it's all your firepower at once. But when you send them out in like groups of 2 or even just 1 at a time, you can get picked apart. And that's a perfect example from the pistol to that round, where one player may be staggered a bit too much, and then there's no refrag potential, which sends Fnatic not still 1 round up, but down to pistols of Armor out on Dennis and Crims, a flash out on Flusha. Although I didn't count G2 out of pistols, I certainly won't count Fnatic out as well. It just takes 1 opening, 1 rifle, 1 op pick. You drop the op, you pick it up, it transitions into your favor as Crims gets down dropping. Though. Yeah, MPK knows it.
Yeah, this is a good play. You don't want to get close to the drop down room, right? So Body stays at a distance. Not that it's going to matter. Crims still hits himself 1 hell of a headshot. NBK, however, will drop him back by 1. Kenny S as well, plucking a man from connector, but it's Flusha from the back lines to surprise Apex again. Shoxy trying to get aggressive here, but he's not falling for Olaf's games until Dennis, surprise, surprise, blasts his head wide open. 3v2 for Fnatic as they try to get the bomb towards B. NBK within the drop needs to come up big, and he will as he finds Olaf. Kenny takes Flusha, and it's just down to Dennis. 40 seconds to play off of as he retrieves the M4 and looks for more. He'll find it. NBK taken out, and it's just down to Kenny.
Kenny, 2 kills already this round, looking for the 3rd. Same goes with Dennis. And Kenny S just holding the angle. Dennis shoulder peeking it a bit too much, as Kenny S will find the shot. 6-6. The buy will come out from Fnatic. We may see an op if JW wishes to drop it to a teammate. Or again, they can just go for the rifles. They've been doing a good job in their default of applying a pressure to A, keeping consistent players towards drop room, like JW's been doing just a sick job towards top drop. Utility usage-wise, keeping players there, and just hampering rotations, as Z2 are looking extremely crisp, 6-6. As Fnatic are just going to go ahead for the rifles. They neglect the op. I don't even think neglect's the right word. They negate it, knowing the AKs are enough.
Yep. JW again towards drop top. Shox pinned down behind the corner. NBK, though, with the flashbang, is going to find himself that opener. So JW removed. Does not come up with a frag this time round. Olaf tagging Shox ever so slightly, but he is still fine. Olaf to disengage. The bomb's being shuffled around here. Fnatic now trying to find a solution to being down 4v5, and it looks as though drop's going to be in their sights for now. Flush is still anchored towards long A. trying to pull some kind of a rotation towards the A site as Crims is now the front line.
Yeah, Crims gets down on the edge of the smoke. As NPK content to just sit here and wait for Crims to show face. As the bomb is still towards B for Fnatic, but they have a player towards long A. So they do now have map controls. They elect to pull players out if they wish to rotate. Or they can even tell that A player to make contact, find an opening, do something with it. That is Flusha. So he is just going to be the thorn on the side of G2 right now, towards long A, try to find an opener. If he can't, Fnatic can just completely fall back and go into execution as they still have a couple smokes to work with.
Seem pretty confident in stacking this B site, just leaving Apex alone behind cannons, but this is where the bomb's now rotated back, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on Apex to hold this back. He needs at least one frag, preferably two, because the rotation's coming in, but he misses the first, still able to drop Olaf. Dennis with a response, but there's just no time. Flusha finds the headshot, tries to jump to the site, and Kenny plucks him from the skies. G2 are back in the lead.
7-6, they are certainly back in the driving seat as Kenny S comfortably gets the op at his hands again. Fnatic are putting in an awkward economy situation. 3,100, 3,200 average across the team. Looks like the call is going to be invest in some pistols. We have a little bit more money, get some armor behind it. On round 14 to save for the round 15 buy. So they will go for upgraded pistols, some utility. As Apex is going to be sent towards long A, as there's a player playing towards connector. Fnatic just shuffle in towards the safe setup. Nothing too aggressive towards Plat, knowing they can't really afford it with just pistols. As JW has just a tiny gap in that smoke he wants to abuse, and MPK, I think he sees it too, though. So has to be cautious of how he decides to peek it.
Fnatic's pistols. That's an M4 in the hands of JW, and suddenly Fnatic become that much more threatening. The smoke grenades are going to fade, but there's still so much time left to play. So no worries for Fnatic at the time being. But what do? They've got the bomb sitting outside the A site. They've got that M4 towards B. They could try to pinch between connector and long and take G2 off of the A site. Their options are open, but the time's starting to tick, and that's going to work against them.
Apex, the auto, Shoddy going to be playing close stables towards corner. As Flusha thinking about coming around, but JW gets his second towards the B site. Apex with the auto, gonna miss the first couple bullets, and that will send him flying. Kenny S will miss his shot, and that will be the same fate as he will die as well. Body, the last one remaining in a 1v5. Fnatic, for what they invested, they get a decent outcome.
Incredible round here. I mean, that's all it takes, right? You just have to buy your time. If they just go for some kind of a rush, then NBK was already waiting on the site. There was no reason, you know, for them to try and pull the trigger then. They wait until there's a bit of face shown towards drop down. JW punishes it, gets the M4, and then they just split into the A site. Now, Body in that position with the XM1014 could have, or excuse me, not Body, Apex, could have come up with a couple of kills, and that would have allowed Dennis, you know, to then have to struggle with that, but that's not the case. It's G2 to just crumbling around that Fnatic had no business winning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the moral of the story. This should have been a round for the Frenchman.
They make it look bandits too. Free op, double M4. That couldn't have played out better for them. As I said, you get one frag, and that's JW finding the opening. Next thing you know, there's a rifle. He catches that player off guard. Not much G2 can do about it unless they push him, which they don't want to do. That's even more scary. If you push JW and drop him, it might just turn your good day into a terrible day. You don't want to go ahead and do that. And now it's kind of showing in G2's buy where they have a UMP, a mag. Granted, they get the double op, so that's something for Shox and Kenny has to work with. While Olaf is holding plat, and that's the opener. Shox down. That's the second op. Already out of the hands of G2, and there's so much time on the clock for Fnatic.
The amount of times that Olaf Meister's been posted on that angle and Shoxy has peeked him is a little kind of troubling for me, right? Shox has died multiple times trying to make that peak happen, and I get it. You have the spawn for it, you've got the time, but if Olaf Meister has been there over and over, you know that's a high-risk play. And when two of your teammates are already shuffled down to both a shotgun and an SMG, you want to keep those options in play as long as possible. Luckily for G2, they're able to kill JW as he drops into the drop down. NBK walks away nearly unscathed, but he still has only 58 points of health.
54 seconds on the clock. Body gonna hold broken wall from an interesting angle on site. As Olaf is kind of sent here, not even on a scavenging mission. This is like a commitment. 3 players coming from Plat. Body's gonna wide swing, immediately shut down from Flusha. As Kenny S is in a prime spot with his back rock. He's hoping one player peeks him. That nade damage dealt to Olaf from it. Plus some bullets thrown his way. Apex will find Flusha. Now Kenny S can just sit here. Good smoke in sight. May allow the bomb planted. But Olaf needs some help from Dennis, and it's not coming today or tonight. As G2 will go ahead and take the half with a 1-round lead. And all in all, the way Fnatic was playing, for G2 to string the first 3 and then get 4 strung together at the end, and the final round, that's not a bad CT half from G2. And NBK just putting up numbers as well.
Yeah, it's as close as it could have gotten, right? This is exciting stuff. You got JW at the top with 14 frags. Highest ADR also going his way, right? So he's having himself a great little game. And that's really been the gist of this. It was individual performances in multiple rounds that allowed each team to find those sprees of victory. Pistol and conversion go the way of the French, just for Fnatic to then string a bunch together, and then we get the resurgence as well. So this game is still in the air, but Olaf Meister is going to feel the heat towards long A, finds the man within the air itself. NBK and Kenny, however, trade it back, and there's one from Apex to make this more convincing. Fnatic trying to play off the man disadvantage, and suddenly it's just JW. 6 points of health and 3 opponents ahead of him.
Yeah, how does he play this out? Because he knows he's so late. Good crosshair placement, but Kenny S just with the HP pool above him and just holding the angle already. Gets the easy frag. 9-7 G2. We'll see how much they're willing to go into this one, knowing Fnatic are going to be on upgraded pistols, CZs, 5.7s, Eagles, etc. Whatever Fnatic wish to buy up here. So it is going to be armor across the board. Olaf just going to stay on the USP to get that off in the first rifle round. And G2 go pretty much SMG heavy with an interesting pickup of the Galil on Kenny S. When you love it, though.
I don't judge.
Yeah, I don't judge you, man.
Pistols for Fnatic, CZs across the board. I like that. I like that. Very powerful weapon when used in the right hands. It's Dennis, a great pistol player himself, who takes 1, but Body smashes him back. And that's a UMP removed. We're still going to have 4 players up for Fnatic, 2 of which over towards the A site. So there is a line of defense all across the board. But G2 just slowing things down.
Looks like Body and Kenny S about to push out along. The bomb is here, and it will get spotted now. So Kenny S may just get thrown the bomb, and the MAC-10 may go first. We'll see what G2 have in mind. As Olaf sitting backside, has Crims underneath balcony. And Olaf's looking for something with his eagle. He wants to go fishing. He's going big fish hunting, if you will. As Shocks going to be playing around the stairs with his MAC-10. We'll spot out Flusha, but Flusha's just doing shoulder peek so lovely as they try to converge onto Shocks, who is just a one-man fake. While the real hit is coming out towards A, and all the kills are going to go G2's way. Not much Fnatic could really do with the positioning they had. The lack of aggression they really kind of went for. They went for kind of a passive sit with CZ's play. And although they dealt damage, they could only get 1 frag, and that pushes G2 to double digits. So
frustrating that Shocks and NBK walk away with a combined health of 7. You know, they're literally surviving on a sliver of health. And had they found those 2 frags, well, suddenly that, you know, offense can no longer be so confident in their pushes. They need to slow things down. This gives room for Fnatic to maybe retrieve a weapon and remain competitive. But they shouldn't be competitive in this one. It's a full vanilla buy from Fnatic. Nothing invested into the round. And it seems as though the French just want to head towards the B site. Apex sticks to the CZ, and it's a flash that allows for Body to just come rampaging out. Already finding 1 as the MAC-10 of Shocks does the same elsewhere on the map. Body trying to find more, and he will. Just obliterates that defense, as it should have been.
Yeah, not much of a defense Fnatic can really put up here. Unless they got super lucky, got one of the AK players off guard and picked up an AK, and then tried to do work with that. It's Science USP for Dennis. He hears how swarmed he is, and they're actually going to push into the B site. Dennis will have a couple backs to shoot at. See which one he actually elects to go for, but MPK is not even giving him a chance. As soon as he's out of connector, a bullet will connect to his dome. 11-7. Fnatic will get a buy, and it's not going to include an op. It's actually going to include an auto on JW. So they're really showing their prowess when it comes to weapons across the board in a mat. Interesting.
I mean, JW used to play the Mag-7 and drop down. He almost made it so iconic, right?
Yeah.
Like there were times where he would even play a sawed-off on T side. because he just loves playing that position. But for him to now make the switch to the auto shotty,
Interesting.
very interesting. Crims with the shotgun as well, but his is going to be placed inside drop. It's JW next to the broken wall. And NBK setting smokes at A, just trying to take some map control away from Olaf Meister, who is just sticking around here for the time being. Might get convinced to go elsewhere, seeing as that pressure is applied. Don't want to lose a man early, especially considering that the rotation from the shotguns would be ever so high.
Olaf, he wants to try to keep himself at least relevant towards long A without giving up too much, and especially without giving up his life, without getting a couple frags, because it's kind of the situation where the M4s have to almost get a couple kills if no one goes towards the shotguns. Because it looks like MBK is going to molly left side, right side will get molly by his teammate. G2 are looking like they want to kind of challenge towards mid. Body will swing first. No one is going to be close mid for Fnatic, as Olaf needs some help towards stables. His teammates are rotating. Olaf gets the favorable first engagement for himself. Kenny S is going to peek into it, and that will take him down, as Shox will cover his teammates. And JW and Olaf only get one apiece, but there is a player back sight for Fnatic.
Kenny S is trying to scope in here and grab something to work with. 35 seconds left to play off of. Doesn't leave them with much time, so G2 need to force their way in here, and Fnatic are ready and waiting. Crims with the Mag 7, Dennis with the M4, Body left as the last man from G2, Galil in hand. And not much time whatsoever. 15 seconds, he's getting peaked, and he has been dealt with. Fnatic hold the line, and they put a CT round on the board the moment they get guns.
Yeah, and guns including a Mag 7 and an auto shotgun, which actually, interestingly enough, rotate and are allowed to get a frag apiece.
Yep.
So it worked out for Fnatic, surprisingly, where you think if G2 throw smokes and mollies and go for an execution towards A, there's no way the shotguns are having close to any impact unless they catch a G2 player pushing towards them. Instead, they both get a frag, the auto gets carried onto Crims, the op out on Olaf, and it looks like it is going to be Shox just told to go on a solo mission towards Plat. One player will be behind him, but quite staggered and push back his body as Shox is just sent out. He said go hunting, you have a free season, and he's going to get the opener up on the flush, and he's looking for some more. Shox, really the one-man army, gets 2 entries, but he won't check his right. That gives room for JW to try to shut down his teammates. But this is all Shox and G2 just coming out on top.
Yeah, Crims just suddenly all alone. And definitely not with the best weapon to do so. Shoxy just gets so aggressive on the platform, completely obliterates that B-site defense. And had he checked the corner, could have found a third. Crims from afar, though, will find the headshot. That's Body to hit the dirt. And immediately we see G2 just take control of that A-site, right? 2 players within it. They're going to keep an eye on Connector. The bomb's coming in as the last man there. Crims is just going to go for a save at this point. He's got nothing to prove. And G2 have done it. It's going to be a reset.
That's a rough reset as well. If that's $1,400 right after you win your first rifle, and that's going to put G2 112. You're thinking 13 before Fnatic gets some kind of buy scrapped together. So it's kind of rocky right now. If you are Fnatic, you're kind of walking on very thin ice or very thin glass, if you will. And Crims is going to try to save the AK. I think he'll be successful. G2 not really in any kind of hunting positions. And it's going to be 12, 13. You're looking at the loss bonus starting to add up. It was looking good for Fnatic on the T side. They tried to transition in the first rifle round, but immediately snuffed out, specifically by Shox as well. Those just running out plat and just going to town.
Very nice stuff. Crims able to survive as well here, so that's good for Fnatic. They'll have something to work with in the next round. Now, do they keep the Catalyst AK and just play the one? This second shot right here.
Dirty.
Knows the man's there. Misses his little spray down, but then hits it on the first shot. And again, had he checked that right corner, right, could have been an easy 3K with Crims potentially next up on the menu, but it's not the case. So they keep the one AK. They don't buy around it. They have a couple of deagles, a flashbang, and a P250, which means there's a lot of pressure on Crims to do something in this round. Olaf looks for information first and foremost, and then falls immediately back towards the site. G2, they know better. They're not going to fall for the old bait and switch. Instead, they sit back, and they are content to burn the clock. They've got all the time in the world.
All the time in the world. And they know that they have just a superior buy over Fnatic, where if they can figure out where Crims is lying in wait, just kind of lock him out, not give him any kind of impact chance. If Shox may just put him into grave, and he will. Of course, it's Shox. Who else to hit that shot? So the AK and armor's down. Fnatic just have some upgraded pistols, a silenced USP on Dennis. The one thing they do have going for them, though, is the numbers towards A, the sheer volume of Fnatic players. maybe enough to either deter G2 and force them to go back to B and make the round awkward, or just push right into them.
Olafmeister's still close with the pistol, right? So that could work had Apex not popped his head, and it's flush up from afar. Near finds 2. Dennis finds another one, but it's just the USP to play off of. They know exactly where he is. There's so much time, and he doesn't have a chance in hell. Kenny S just swaps to the sidearm, closes the distance, and takes 13 for G2 Esports. Fnatic still stagnate on 8.
Yeah, and I said 13 was going to be a buy, and it's a buy, but it's nothing too comfortable. 1 kit. Yes, you have some utility thanks to the FAMAS and UMP buy from Flush and Dennis, but Crims only has a smoke nade JW, so there's not a lot of flashes, there's not a lot of room to really structure any kind of counter flashes, counter utility, counter plays. It's either you go for the play at the beginning before you burn on utility, or you just content to sit and wait and hope something goes your way if you're Fnatic. And it looks like the sitting and waiting part is kind of there. They're just willing to sit close door, willing to send someone towards long A. And as G2, though, it's just sitting in their default. 1 player B, the rest out in yard towards A, knowing that Fnatic are kind of in a rough spot.
Yeah, and ultimately, with only 1 flashbang left, most importantly for utility, there's going to be no way to really take that aggro duel versus Kenny S. So Kenny's just going to be allowed to have a field day here in this round. And his body was already made his way out from lower mid, finds Dennis from the corner and just snubs him out. Olaf within the sights calling for reinforcements, but they've yet to arrive. They're going to get bottlenecked through the connector zone, and that's where Olaf dies. So suddenly Crims is the last line of defense on the site itself, and he drops the bomb. Something to work with. Apex swings it back, however. And so Fnatic with something to work with. Only 2 players left standing. No utility, 1 kit. This looks like a round for the French.
Yeah, Kenny S is going to get that bomb planted. Flusha from balcony. We'll find Apex immediately, though. Kenny S will just wide swing of the op, no fear, get the frag. JW, 50 HP in a 1v3. You know, his body's tagged, more than likely, but without a kit, 0 utility, and time already dwindled down to, I think, a little bit less than half, if not half on the bomb. It's a big ass for JW. So the save call is going to come through. He's going to try to save the M4. G2 get to 14, and that's only a 3-round loss for Fnatic. So it's not too much cash given to them either, with all things considered.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a round 4 reset.
Yeah.
It just puts you so far behind that you then have to make some kind of a comeback towards the later portion of the half, which is still very possible. But unfortunately for Fnatic, this happens in the second half when they're already at a disadvantage, when G2 are already sitting on 14. So if they save this round, which they would, say if it was the first half,
normally, yeah,
they have no chance to do that, right? You would be forfeiting overtime and relying on that 7-round comeback. So this is one of the moments where the context of the game kind of forces the decision-making of Fnatic, and it leaves them with a decent enough buy in the sense that they have the umps, arguably little rifles, full utility, but no kits, no op, and this hasn't been enough to stop G2 yet, so why would it stop them now? Maybe if G2 force this fight on the B site, then Fnatic are able to just hold things back. It's Shoxy leading the charge and trying to replicate that 1 round. He's got a man just next to him, though, and so many flashbangs. JW with the opening frag, Shox peeks wide, and he takes 1 as NBK does the same. It's through the smoke, his second. So there's Crims, but he too toppled. It is just down to Olaf.
And a big thing that's missing from this buy from Fnatic, just solely in the point that they can't afford, is the mollies. Right? You notice that G2 have been scrimming out towards Plat almost, throwing Shox out first. He gets himself in cubby. 1 molly, that forces Shox to pretty much make a play, forces him out. You get the opening, now you can kind of transition things because G2 are going to be scrambling to find a trade, trying to fight outward. So without those mollies, they only have smokes and a couple nades to use. It all kind of just falls apart and goes downhill as Olaf, last remaining, going to try to find a rifle for the road, maybe a little bit of a snack. But even then, it's not much. G2 are going to get to 15. Fnatic will get the 4-round loss. But after just putting it all into this round as well, it's still not a lot.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, it's a silver lining, but a very thin one at that, right? So at least Olaf is able to survive. G2 have no reason to really hunt him out. They could have if they wanted to, but even then, again, it leaves them with not much to play off of. So we see immediately that UMP and Mag 7 buy from the first 2 of Dennis and Crims. Flusha joins forces in the SMG Fest. And JW, why not? Grabs that auto shotty once more. Now, this buy worked out previously with the rifles, but whether it happens again is the question. Looks as though we've got G2 headed towards the B site yet once more. Body and Shox to lead the charge.
Shox gonna be the man to look for someone towards Plat. Crims Gonna sit here towards E-Box. Just gonna wait it out. As Dennis is just gonna be playing towards the connector door, JW by Broken Wall. And they're kind of just hoping someone from G2 just oversteps, right? Get a free upgrade. Now you get a weapon now, you may have a little bit more of a chance, but G2 are playing so reserved, knowing that they're just even one entry away from picking up this map. And look how committed Fnatic are to A in this round. There's 3 players A, as G2 are looking like they want to go towards B regardless, though.
Yeah, Crims is going to try to fall back here and buy a little bit of time. And that's what's going to be important, for them to survive as long as possible, because at least Fnatic already have the flank set. JW tries to get that peek off the shotgun, but again, he's not having the best weapon to do this with. Tries to fire some buckshot downrange, but his body takes him out, and NBK then takes the next. So the site has crumbled. Flusha arrives from the rotation, but Kenny S deals with that. Dennis is coming in from drop down, and it's Olaf on the flank. This could be G2 sealing the deal.
It's looking a lot like it. Dennis and Olaf gonna try to fight back into this one. Shots. We'll deal with the flank. Olaf's gone, and Dennis gets cleaned up.